So we will start. Hare Krishna to all devotees. We will start now.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare, Hare Krishna to all devotees assembled here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Jaya Gaurangi Bengalurishwara Gaurangi Bengalurishwara Gaurangi Jaya Gaurangi Bengalurishwara Gaurangi Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Prahlad Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Prahlad Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivrajakaचार्य Stotra Sadasya Srimad Abhay Charanara Binda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivrajakaचार्य Stotra Sadasya Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय मायापुर श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय द्वारका धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय यमुना माई की जय भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी महारानी की जय समवेत गौरभक्त वृंद की जय गौरभक्त प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज हरे कृष्णा ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज हरे कृष्णा ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज हरे कृष्णा all glories to Shri Guru Shri Gauranga Jai Shri Prabhupada Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Hari Om Tat Sat. So Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for today morning ISKCON Seshadripuram Srivasangam chapters morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today I have been asked to summarize fourth canto, I think 26th, one second. I think 4th Canto, 26th chapter, the second half. The 4th Canto, 26th chapter, second half. So we will discuss this. I will open the Veda base. Give me a minute. Srimad Bhagavatam, fourth canto, the creation of the fourth order. In that chapter 26, 26 is named King Puranjana goes to the forest to hunt and his queen becomes angry. So this has, I think, totally 26 verses. So second half would mean from 14th verse we will start. So I hope you can see the screen. Okay, we'll start now. Antapurashtriyo aprachad vimana iva vedisat apiva kushalam ramaha shashvari nam yata purha. Word by word meaning. Antapura, household, striyaha, women, aprachat, he asked. Vimanaha, being very much anxious, iva like Vedisat, O king, Prachina Bharhi, Api, whether Va, your Kushalam, good fortune, Ramaha, O you beautiful women, Sa Ishwarina, with your mistress, Yata, as Pura before. Translation. At that time, King Puranjana was a little anxious and he inquired from the household women, My dear beautiful women, are you and your mistress all very happy like before or not? So this section is actually dealing with the history or rather the history of Sri Narada Muni, narrating this a story to King Prachina Bharhi, and in that narration of the story he is actually talking about an imaginary character called King Puranjana and his wife and his kingdom and his prajas, who are all basically nothing but a reflection of King Prachina Bharhi. So basically he is trying to teach him a lesson that he simply, this King Prachina Bharhi is simply enjoying his material life, his family life, his sex life, and that he should actually focus on devotional life. So Narada Muni, instead of directly telling him, he is telling him in the form of an imaginary character and telling him what all that character is going through, which is basically what this Prachina Bharhi, and for that matter, all living beings are going through. Sometimes when we hear someone tell a fault of us directly, we may say, oh, why is he telling like this? But if you say that someone else did like this, and then this person may himself say, oh, no, you should not have done like that. But sometimes we realize that that is actually what we have been doing like that. So that way sometimes when you point out it doesn't hurt like that. So we are dealing with here this king is not an ordinary person, very powerful person, should have a lot of ego. So to tell people when they are wrong, it's always difficult. Up to that point everybody is very happy with us. The minute you point out something that there's something wrong, then the whole thing turns topsy-turvy. We see it every day in our relationships. So therefore Narada Muni is trying to say in a roundabout manner, and it's a long story. We have been, in fact I remember I did the last session also, the previous chapter, I think the first half. So it's going on now even into this chapter. So here the section is where this the character Puranjana, the imaginary character Puranjana, had gone on to an expedition of hunting. So kings are allowed to hunt in one sense to one sharpen their skills, and they use that actually to ensure the balance within the different species like that. So when sometimes there is too many mosquitoes come, then they need to take some measures to control the population of mosquitoes. Today there's talk about dog bite all over the country. So they are trying to see how to control this dog population and ensure that the other living entities are not very much troubled by this kind of a species. So these things keep happening, and as per Vedic system, the king is given some rights to hunt, but here I think he just goes and indiscriminately is hunting a lot of animals left, right and center. Anyway, he goes out and he hunts, and then he comes back. Looks like his wife was not very happy. So this is the section of how he is going to deal with his own what circumstances he is in, and how he is so much attached to his wife, how he is so much hankering for sex life, and how the wife is reacting to him, and how she is controlling him, these kind of things. And Prabhupada, while talking about all these things, he is also talking about sometimes here the wife is also an analogy of the intelligence. So the man is the character, imaginary character, and the wife is the intelligence of that man. Like that you can see in terms of the analogy here. Sometimes Prabhupada is comparing the, when you leave the wife, it's like you are leaving Krishna consciousness, like that. So he is using that wife and this man in different contexts while he is giving the purport to drive home the lesson. So we need to understand them in the context. Prabhupada is saying in this verse, if you see the word Vedisat, there where he is saying, O king, Prachina Bharhi. So there somehow, as he was speaking of Puranjana, he is actually bringing him in like you, like that, Vedisat, indicating in Prachina Bharhi. So somewhere he is now hinting that this Puranjana is none other than you. In one sense, Narada Muni is speaking, bringing that relationship sometimes to make him understand like that. You are the person I am talking about. He is saying like this. In this verse, the word Vedisat indicates king Prachina Bharhi. When a man becomes refreshed by association with devotees and awakened to Krishna consciousness, he considers the activities of his mind, namely thinking, feeling and willing, and decides whether he should return to his material activities or stay steady in spiritual consciousness. The word Kushalam refers to that which is auspicious. One can make his home perfectly auspicious when he engages in devotional service to Lord Vishnu. When one is engaged in activities other than Vishnu Bhakti, or in other words, when one is engaged in material activities, he is always filled with anxiety. So here the context he is trying to bring is, his going to the forest is like keeping away from Krishna consciousness. Coming back to his wife is like coming back to Krishna consciousness, like that. So I mentioned already, sometimes that wife is referred to as mind, as a just to place that character in different positions for us to understand that way. So he is saying, like, he's come back now, he's thinking, what did I do wrong? Why did I leave Krishna consciousness and go away? And there this lesson is being taught where anything which is outside of Vishnu Bhakti is actually only leading to anxiousness. So a sane man should consult his mind, its thinking, feeling and willing process, and decide how these processes should be utilized. If one always thinks of Krishna, feeling how to serve him and wills to execute the order of Krishna, it should be known that he has taken good instructions from his intelligence, which is called the mother. Although the king was refreshed, that means refreshed means after going to the forest he was tired, he did a lot of, he took bath, he scented himself nicely, took rest, all that happened. So that is the refreshed is being talked about. He nonetheless inquired about his wife. Thus he was consulting, thinking and willing how he could return to his steady good consciousness. here coming back to his wife is considered steady good consciousness, but actually this Puranjana being an imaginary character, it is about us coming back to our good consciousness, or in other words coming to Krishna consciousness. The mind may suggest that by Vishaya Bhoga or sense enjoyment one can become happy, but when one becomes advanced in Krishna consciousness, he does not derive happiness from material activities. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita 2.59. Visaya vidivartante nirasraya dehinaha rasam vajram raso api asya param drushtva nivartate. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense object remains. But ceasing such engagement by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So this is very important, because the fact is, as long as we are in the body, there is always this tendency for sense gratification. So sometimes we think, oh no, I am now mature, sometimes we think we are old. So because I am old now, I don't have these interests, these material gratifications. These things are not really true, because whether you are young or old, your senses are still there. Only thing is, sometimes the senses may not be very, very sharp. So to that extent, we may sort of be not very aggressive in the use of that particular sense, like we were when we were very young, when the sense was very, very strong. But again, it's not about the person who is withdrawn from that activity. It is just that his instruments are not working properly. There's a big difference. The propensity to enjoy is there, very much there. But unfortunately, I am not able to use that particular sense object very well, and therefore I look like I am withdrawn. But that's why we go on taking so much treatments, right? Even today, when we are 80s and 90s, whatever age, people want to keep their senses very sharp, be it mind, intelligence, the limbs, even the genitals. We want to be very active all the time. Whether you are 70, 80, no, I want to be active. If you go a little deeper into all these things, you will know. People want to be active with their senses. So they are trying to say, okay, my sense is becoming little slow or whatever, not very aggressive, so I need to be at it, like that. So they go on trying to take medication so that they can be like that. So the fact remains that the mind is always trying to delve into the sense objects. Therefore, this particular verse in second chapter is very important. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment. Sometimes it is by kind of when the Mayavadis, they try to control their senses. Or in the case where I mentioned, the senses may not be very strong, each person according to his karma, some sense may work nicely, some senses may not work very nicely. Though the taste for sense object remains, this is to be underlined. But ceasing such engagement by experiencing a higher taste is fixed in consciousness. So how do you manage this? So the Mayavadis try to restrain. So this restraining business is very difficult. So the mind will be trying all the time, when I'll get a chance to get out of this. Like when you put a child to restrain a child, or when you restrain a dog, like you tie it to the dog will be waiting, it is just trying to pull at the chain or something. If the minute it gets an opportunity, you let out, it will start running all over the place and creating a havoc. So this kind of control by austerity, simply for the sake of austerity, is very, very useless, because it is only as long as you are trying to hold like that, but it is always looking for a time to get out of that control. But then how do you make that happen? Because the idea is we need to control our senses and come to the point of proper understanding that I am not the body. The more we dwell into the bodily concept, then we cannot forget I am not the body. It's very logical. Therefore, here Krishna gives a very wonderful method. He says, by experiencing higher taste, the lower taste will automatically go away, and in that way we can get fixed in the good consciousness. So it's there, there is sometimes This example I used to give, there is a beggar coming every day to our home. These days no beggars, but still, there are beggars, but nobody come to the home with a bowl. Those days they used to come out every day evening and ask for old food. If you have old food, you give. So you give, some days, what you do is you stop giving that beggar old food, but you give nice, freshly prepared food 3 days, 4 days like that. The 5th day, you go and give him that old food again, he will say, "Enamma ivattu ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಹೊಸ ಊಟ ಇಲ್ಲವಾ?" No, you don't have that good rice like that, he will ask. Why? Because he is now accustomed to the higher taste of very nice fresh food. So he does not, earlier he was hoping somehow you give the old food also, I am grateful. Now he will think, oh, why that old food? Why not that new food like that? So, when you develop higher taste, the lower taste goes. We can experience this. Sometimes, you are so much addicted to music. You are listening to film songs all the time. Or some other types of songs. But somehow, after coming to Krishna consciousness, you realize that, this mundane thing should be avoided. Okay, what should I do? But I like to hear music. Okay, you hear some good bhajans, kirtans. World over, we have all these collections. Great kirtaniyas. You hear, once you start hearing for a few months, even for a month for that example, then later when you just try to hear these mundane music film songs and things like that, you feel, what is that? This is not so nice. And slowly you can actually get over that. You can see this in many things, how devotees before they came to Krishna consciousness are having so many things, like people smoke, people drink, people do all the regulative principles are opposite of that they indulge in all the things, if not all, a lot of them, but then so it's difficult for everyone. Some people say, oh, how you are all being like this, I can never be like that. Baba, I was also like that earlier, right? But by following this process, developing a higher taste, this thing automatically goes away. We don't realize when I left whatever I left, right? And it's very difficult. Many people leave even very, very strong what do you call desires like eating flesh, or addicted to smoking, coffee, tea. These things are very biological, it is chemical, it sort of becomes conditions us so much. But how you left it, I don't know. I left it, in course of time. I was never forced, but I left it like that. This is important. So I'll go to the next verse. King Puranjana said, I do not understand why my household paraphernalia does not attract me as before. I think that if there is neither a mother nor devoted wife at home, the home is like a chariot without wheels. Where is the fool who will sit down on such an unworkable chariot? So Puranjana is thinking, because he is the king, he has got all the facilities to enjoy. But in this situation, his wife is not happy with him, so he is basically bereft of his wife. Therefore, he is feeling all these other things are not giving me happiness. So he is comparing that to a chariot which does not have a wheel. What is the use of this beautiful chariot? Which doesn't have, which fool will sit in this chariot and try to think I am riding a nice chariot? He is saying like this. So Prabhupada actually says in this one, he is quoting Chanakya Pandita's one verse, and it says, if a person has neither a mother nor a pleasing wife at home, he should leave home and go to the forest, because for him there is no difference between the forest and home. The real Mata or mother is devotional service to the Lord, and the real Patni or devoted wife is a wife who helps her husband execute religious principles in devotional service. These two things are required for a happy home. So Prabhupada says, right, behind every successful man there is a woman. So here, and we can always know, generally it is either the mother or the wife, and sometimes, in Kali Yuga, it's some other woman also. But there is always this big inspiration, someone who's actually motivating that person to become a great personality. And generally, for a Grahastha to really perform extremely well in whatever sphere, in material sphere or spiritual sphere, that family should be in very nice circumstances. The mother should be nice, the wife should be nice, because it's natural. Because you are always, that propensity with the opposite sex is always there. And therefore, when that is positive, then it can be used for constructive things. That is important. So, Prabhupada is actually talking here about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He had a fantastic mother and a very nice wife. So he was perfectly happy at home, but he left all that for the sake of the world. He took sannyasa. And he says, otherwise, generally, a person who has a wife who is favorable to devotional service and a nice mother, or a nice mother, one need not actually take sannyasa. It's not necessary. Particularly in Kali Yuga, it is not productive. It is counterproductive to a person who has been in that kind of a situation of a family life. Right. In other words, if a man has a good mother or a good wife, there is no need of his taking sannyasa. That is, unless it is absolutely necessary, as it was for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So next verse. Kindly let me know the whereabouts of that beautiful woman who always saves me when I am drowning in the ocean of danger. By giving me good intelligence at every step, she always saves me. So here he is referring to his wife, who is actually a very positive influence on his life. Of course, here it is about the material life. He's been very happily enjoying material life because of his good wife. But if you flip it over from a material spiritual consciousness, Prabhupada is actually talking about a good wife, who can actually make a man very good in Krishna consciousness. So he's talking about this word in material life. There is every step there is a danger. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.58. Padam padam yat vipadam na tesham. This material world is not factually a place of residence for an intelligent person or a devotee, because here there is danger at every step. Vaikuntha is the real form for the devotee, for there is no anxiety and no danger. Good intelligence means becoming Krishna consciousness. Here the wife, he says, no. By giving me good intelligence at every step, she always saves me. That intelligence here is actually should be seen as good intelligence means becoming Krishna consciousness. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Krishna ye bhaje se bada chatura. Unless one is Krishna consciousness, he cannot be called an intelligent person. So this is important. No? So that intelligence is really what? We try to solve a lot of material problems, which is fine. In one sense, it is intelligence that, I am in a bad state, so how do I make this better? But if that intelligence is used as if that intelligence is used only for that purpose, then it is only to solve the temporary problem. But in the course of the time, I am also being killed by time. Right? So I am losing my time of existence. So ultimately I will die one day. And before that, should I not find a solution to this death? So now the intelligence, you should really know what it is to be applied on. Prioritization of intelligence. Yes, taking effort to ensure good environment for the body to live is important. Intelligence. Otherwise the body will suffer. If you are in cold and heat when you don't have a house, that's not a very good idea. But if you are thinking that is the only thing I will do all my life, then there is a problem. Then okay, that's fine, I have done it, I should do whatever is best possible, but I should also see why this body is there, because it is leading me to suffer under this rain and winter. How do I solve that problem? If someone is able to think like that, then this self-realization becomes important. Therefore, that intelligence application has to be put to the higher cost than this lower cost. Now we can actually see this, this is we know all these things, that's fine. But on a day-to-day basis, as we experience every decision in our life, then do we apply this uh, do we apply this yardstick? Okay, I am wanting to do this. Now, how important this one is, or what is the priority, or how much of time I should give to this particular thing? If you have to look at it, we don't apply that. That's why sometimes we see we have spent a lot of time on something which is not needed at all, or maybe needed but should not have been given so much of time like that. So these things looks basic. Oh, Prabhu, let's move forward. What is the big thing? We know all these things. But when we go a little deeper, is there something for us to take home? Yes, there is so many things like this to take home. And Prabhupada is writing, this nice wife is talking about right now, who's giving good advice, intelligent advice. That wife is considered as a dharma patni, Prabhupada is writing. And this word dharma means what? Dharma means, excuse me. So this is about proper religious principles. Therefore, this dharma patni means someone whom the man, and for that matter the wife, also has accepted as the partner, following the proper Vedic injunctions. That means, the marriage should have been performed with the Vedic whatever samskaras. That is very important. Otherwise, it does not become a dharma patni, it is mentioned. So sometimes we may think, no, we are talking about registered marriage these days. That not legal. Yes, it is legal. This is Vedic. We are talking about Vedic things, and that is very important. Then that dharma patni who has gone through all these things and who's been chaste, and again the chaste is that a woman has not thought about another man. And again, when you talk about the chaste for a man, he has not thought about another woman before marriage. So then the power of that marriage becomes even more very, very, very strong, I believe. A chaste wife is one who never had any connection with men before her marriage. So Prabhupada is writing this. Sometimes it's difficult to Prabhupada writes, once a woman is given the freedom to mingle with all kinds of men in her youth, it is very difficult for her to keep chaste. It's natural, right? Why that woman? It's for men also, right? You keep on moving with so many women. This thought keeps coming into the mind. That vision, the eye is very powerful. Or they sometimes, say, we get attracted by the sound of the, the anklets, like, this Vishwanamitra Muni. He was meditating strongly and Indra said, how to disturb this man, he will become so powerful and he will take my place, how do I become? So he sent, I think, Menaka, someone very beautiful lady from the higher planetary system. They are supposed to be even more beautiful than the most beautiful women here. So I forget about even seeing the beauty. By that sound of the anklet, she walking around him, he is closing his eyes and deeply in meditation. That anklet actually, so sometimes I say, why are you exaggerating all this? I am very strong. But this is true, and it all depends on what circumstances there is. Prabhupada is writing sometimes, it's like a man and a woman, it's like butter and fire. Here in this, in these sections, whatever we are reading, is writing that. Because sometimes, the circumstances may be like that, it can catch fire. One need to be careful. Maybe, sometimes we may interact, we may not think like that because maybe the circumstances are not right for something like that, but it cannot be like that all the time. There could always be some trigger somewhere which will immediately catch. So this is important. That here only is writing. When butter is brought into the proximity of fire, it melts. The woman is like fire and the man is like the butter. So these things, so that why he is talking about mingling with other, these chances are there. While with all good intentions one may have, but one need to be careful. That is the point that's being made. In modern life, it is always there. You can't avoid it. But one needs to be careful. It's applicable for both men and women. It is not like, oh, women only are like, no, no. And if there is a woman who's that, then there's a man on the other side, right? How can you ignore that? That is also there. So with such a good wife, the family engagement in devotional service of the Lord actually makes a good grahastha ashrama or household dedicated to spiritual cultivation. So the minute grahastha is different from grahastha ashrama, because grahastha is generally graha medini, they say. That means one who's more into material life, like good wife, good family, good setup for nice household activities, clean house, nicely welcoming people, sense gratification, giving nice dinner, lunch, all these things. But grahastha ashrama means when the minute ashrama comes, it talks about spirituality. So grahastha ashrama is different from graha medini. So anyone who is actually a householder, as long as he is in grahastha ashrama, it is fine. But if he is simply a grahastha, there is a problem. That elsewhere also it is written, that I will not go into deeply. Next one. All the women address the king, O master of the citizens, we do not know why your dear wife has taken on this sort of existence. O killer of enemies, kindly look. She is simply on the ground without bedding. We cannot understand why she is acting this way. So the maid servants, they are responding, oh, your wife is in a very bad state. We don't know why, but she is behaving oddly. She is just lying down on the floor. She is not dressed up, so many, not a very pleasant kind of a situation she is in. So, Prabhupada, so now here all is equating this, in different ways. Let's see this. When a person is devoid of devotional service or Vishnu Bhakti, he takes to many sinful activities. King Puranjana left home, neglected his own wife and engaged himself in killing animals. This is the position of all materialistic men. They do not care for a married chaste wife. They take the wife only as an instrument for sense enjoyment, not as a means for devotional service. To have unrestricted sex life, the karmis work very hard. They have concluded that the best course is to have sex with any woman and simply pay the price for her as though she were a mercantile commodity. Actually, these things are very true. Sometimes in Prabhupada's writing, you may feel, oh, why? No. All are gentlemen. No. The mind is very, very thing. You can see this. People were all gentlemen till there is an opportunity to behave like an animal. So it's very difficult. I say no, that 2.59 where the propensity to enjoy is always there. It only requires one trigger for that to fly. One has to be very careful. So this, in this case, he leaving his wife is considered like he's in a materialistic sense, a person is actually ignoring his wife and trying to seek pleasure everywhere. Basically, the mind is all about this. That's why Prabhupada says that you work like an ass for 24 hours. Why? For the sex life. Of course, it is an extension of everything, not simply one act, but it is about the lust for material things also. But the highest of all this is this sex life. So sometimes you keep saying this word, but it is an extension of that in every other aspect also. Thus they engage their energy in working very hard for such material acquisitions. You see here material acquisitions. But ultimate goal is, I want to be impressive to the opposite party, whoever. But the focus is that, how do I? These are all extensions. Such materialistic people have lost their good intelligence. They must search out their intelligence within the heart. A person who does not have a chaste wife accepted by religious principles always has a bewildering intelligence. So, and Prabhupada is saying here that lady is, because he neglected her and went away, she is in this state. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying, anyone in the Grahastha Ashrama should be very, very protective of his wife. He should really care for his wife. And he says, how Lord Narayana is keeping Lakshmi Devi in his heart all the time. That means he is always protecting her. And he is even saying, And he's saying a wife is Ardhangi. Ardhangi means half of the man. And therefore, how important we treat ourselves, we should treat the wife also like that. So, how you can have one half of the body very nicely enjoying, the other half of the body not enjoying. So, both should be equally treated. The husband should be having so much of, the mood to actually be very protective, really care for the wife and do. And he says even, he should have that protection is exhibited by embracing the wife, like that is writing in some of these places. These are ways to say that, you are protected, that feeling of, yes, this is my man and I'm under full, this one, that reciprocation is there even in the other person that is mentioned here. The home should be a place for devotional service and the wife should be chaste and accepted by a ritualistic ceremony. In this way, one becomes happy at home. So, the proper Grihastha ashrama, where the man gives protection, the woman gives the intelligence, the inspiration for the man, and between that, the husband and wife move towards the ultimate goal of life. That is the sum and substance of this kind of a verse. The great sage Narada continued, "My dear king Prachina Bharhi, as soon as King Puranjana saw his queen lying on the ground, appearing like a mendicant, he immediately became bewildered." So, in this verse, the word Avadutam is especially significant, for it refers to a mendicant who does not take care of his body. Since the queen was lying on the ground without bedding and proper dress, King Puranjana became very much aggrieved. In other words, he represented that he had neglected his intelligence and has engaged himself in the forest in killing animals. In other words, when one's good intelligence is separated or neglected, here intelligence is, in this, the verbatim thing is the wife. He fully engages in sinful activities due to neglecting one's good intelligence or Krishna consciousness. In other context, this intelligence is good Krishna consciousness. One becomes bewildered and engages in sinful activities. And upon realizing this, a man becomes repentant. So here this guy, Puranjana is becoming repentant. Oh, I neglected my wife, and that is why this situation has become. So he becomes repentant. Such repentance is described by Narottama Dasa Thakura. Hari Hari Vipale Janama Gonaino. Manushya Janma Paye Radha Krishna na Bhajiye. Janiye Suniye Vishakaine. That means Hari Hari Vipale Janama Goino. That means he is saying, knowingly I have taken poison because I have got the human form of life to glorify Radha and Krishna. Bhajiye, I mean to glorify Radha and Krishna, but knowingly, Janiye, Suniye, out of ignorance, Vishakaine, I have taken this, poison. So I have wasted my life, oh my Lord. He is singing like this. So the purport is that one certainly becomes addicted to sinful activities when he becomes devoid of his good chaste wife, or when he has lost his good sense or intelligence and does not take to Krishna consciousness. Next verse. The king with aggrieved mind began to speak to his wife with very pleasing words. Although he was filled with regret and tried to pacify her, he could not see any symptom of anger caused by love within the heart of his beloved wife. So he is saying, when one regrets his sinful activities, when he is trying to repent, then he is actually his path opens up. And particularly when we are talking about our Krishna consciousness, right? So when we are sort of, when a person is more into materialistic life. But the minute his repentance means he should think coming into the fold of Krishna consciousness. Even coming to think like that, you are already on the path of reformation. When a person loses his Krishna consciousness and loses its interest in self-realization, he must engage in self-full activities. All one's activities in a life devoid of Krishna consciousness simply lead to defeat and misuse of one's life. Therefore, see, there are only two things. One is we are in this path of Krishna consciousness trying to reform and become perfect. Otherwise, it is only going into deeper and deeper down from our current consciousness. That is all is there. Because devoid of Krishna consciousness, simply being materialistically engaged, even if we are leading a very a gentleman life, or which is following the rules and regulations of the society more from an existence point of view, that is not going to anyway help. That's actually sinful, because Krishna is saying, right, if you are simply eating for the sake of enjoying food, then that is sinful eating. Therefore, if you are a gentleman also, but if you are not Krishna consciousness, that is sinful life. So the idea is everyone should somehow or the other try to get into the fold of Krishna consciousness and slowly get into that reformation process. Otherwise, that human form of life is wasted. So naturally, one who comes to Krishna consciousness regrets his previous sinful activities in the human form. Only by this process can one be delivered from the clutches of naivance or ignorance in materialistic life. So as I was taking that example, as we become more attached to this process, then we see the old ways becomes little tasteless, like that song or attraction for movie songs I was saying. So we say, why was I wasting my time listening to this one, right? You feel that later as you take to this higher taste. This is a natural course of thing. It is not artificial. Oh no, why you are conditioning yourself, you are brainwashing to become Krishna conscious. No. This is a natural process. Next. Because the king was very expert in flattery, he began to pacify his queen very slowly. First he touched her 2 feet, then embraced her nicely, seating her on his lap, and began to speak as follows. So Prabhupada is saying, one has to awaken his Krishna consciousness by first regretting his past deeds. So the king Puranjana regretted his activity of going to the forest, ignoring his wife. So that is the starting point. And then what do you do? But that regret leads to he touches his feet of this wife. So here from our perspective it is mentioned, one should hold the feet of the spiritual master. Krishna consciousness cannot be achieved by self-endeavor. One must therefore approach a self-realized Krishna consciousness person and touch his lotus feet. Prahalad Maharaj, one verse is quoting, where he is saying, one cannot come to the precipice of Krishna consciousness unless he touches the dust of the lotus feet of a person who has become a Mahatma, a great devotee. So Mahatma definition is there in Bhagavad Gita, not the Mahatma that we can generally think of, one who is very conscious of the society, who is doing good for the society, great. But really the Mahatma definition is one who is a great devotee. That is there in Bhagavad Gita. So this is the beginning of the surrendering process. Lord Krishna wants everyone to surrender unto him. And this surrendering process begins when one touches the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. By rendering service to the bona fide spiritual master, one begins a spiritual life in Krishna consciousness. Touching the lotus feet of a spiritual master means giving up one's false prestige and unnecessarily puffed up position in the material world. Right? We may be so and so big person in the society. But the minute you bow down and touch the lotus feet of the spiritual master, we are actually giving up that ego. I am such a big person. So here, while Puranjana was doing this to his wife, even materialistically we do. But this is in a spiritualistically speaking, how that translates, that is being taught here. King Puranjana said, "My dear beautiful wife, when a master accepts a servant as his own, but he does not punish him for his offenses, the servant must be considered unfortunate." I'll read this again. You understand this? King Puranjana said, "My dear beautiful wife, when a master accepts a servant as his own man," which is nice, right? A master accepts a servant as his own man, but does not punish him for his offenses. And does not punish. Okay, so I am a servant, I do some offense, but the master considered the servant as himself, and I don't punish myself, so I don't know, it's okay, pa, it's okay, you move on. If a master is saying like that to the servant, he says the servant must be considered unfortunate. No, generally we consider fortunate. No, I have a good master. He does not chastise me at all. He's very soft to me. He does not scold me or does whatever, does not punish me like that. But here he is saying a contradicting sentence, that if he is not punished, then he is not fortunate. He is very unfortunate. So that we should understand in a different way. Prabhupada has the nice way to explain all these things so very clearly, beautifully. Then this contradiction is actually removed, right? So Prabhupada says, like when we have our children at home, what do we do? When the child sometimes does something which is not correct, behaviorally or physically, when he does some activities which are not good, the parents get angry and punish them. But this punishment is not in the mood of either envy of the child or with intent to hurt the child or with any kind of vengeance. Prabhupada uses the word not out of vengeance, but they punish the child more out of love for the child, and this is good for the child. This is important, because sometimes when the child does not see a mood of punishment but always acceptance of everything, tomorrow when they go into the outside world, when they are in reality, there it becomes a big shock for them, where people will call out our wrong things. They will call a spade a spade. At that point in time, you will not be able to accept it. But even as a child, if I am told what is wrong, and when I am showing anger when something is wrong, the child actually learns. And when he sees it outside world later, that psychology makes him understand it in the right perspective. Otherwise, he feels entitled. These are called spoiled brats, right? When they grow up, because they have not seen chastisement. So they think, how can someone talk to me like this? So then that leads to a whole bad situation. But when someone else is reacting very negatively for us because we did something wrong, when we grow up, we understand, yes, I am wrong. Because I know when my parent was angry when I was wrong. Here I am seeing that anger in this person, but I understand I am wrong. So then he is able to deal with it in a proper way, rather than thinking, how can he get angry at me, right? These kind of things. So, he is feeling, so the point is, if I am punished, I am fortunate because I am learning something. But if I am not punished, I am not learning something, therefore I am unfortunate. So this is to be taken in the right spirit. So the servant also, if he is taking in that spirit, and the master is giving punishment to the servant with the mood of good intention, not with vengeance but out of love, so that this fellow should improve nicely. If that is the mood, then the servant should not feel offense for the guru, for the master telling. The same thing in a spiritual life. When a senior devotee tells us something, then the senior devotee's mood should also be not with vengeance but to really having love for that devotee, so he is correcting. That receiving devotee should also be able to take it in that mood, that I was corrected because they have love for me, so that I should become nice in Krishna consciousness. Not that how can he tell me, who is he to tell me, I have seen him also like this. These kind of things we immediately start trying to find fault with the person who is trying to correct us. Then nothing can happen, we cannot progress. And Prabhupada is quoting a verse also. He is quoting from Bhagavatam 10.14.8. A real devotee thinks in this way. When a devotee is put into an awkward position, he takes it as a mercy of the Supreme Lord. So a devotee will also be punished, right? Krishna will punish. But how do I see that punishment? Oh Krishna, how can you punish? I am such a wonderful devotee. I have done so much of services for you. But you are actually trying to treat me like giving me punishment. This is the mood sometimes we get into. But Prabhupada is saying when some of these circumstances come which look like a punishment, we should take it as a benediction. In this verse states that the devotee accepts a reversal of his position in life as a benediction by the Lord and consequently offers the Lord more obeisances and prayers, thinking that the punishment is due to his past misdeeds and that the Lord is punishing him very mildly. So in the Manu Samhita, it is said that when a king should be considered merciful if he, for example, awards death penalty for a person who has killed someone in the society. He is giving you death penalty. How is it considered a merciful act? Because by that act he is killed and therefore he does not have to suffer post that. He will come to a next life will be a nice life. Otherwise, because if he is not punished by the king mercifully like that, then he will die naturally and then he will have to suffer a lot in the next body because of the murder that is done in the previous life. So instead of that, if he is actually killed by that punishment of capital punishment, then that is atoned, and the next body he actually gets a proper life. That's what is mentioned in Manu Samhita, is what Prabhupada is writing. Next verse. My dear slender maiden, when a master chastises his servant, the servant should accept this as a great mercy. One who becomes angry must be very foolish not to know that such is the duty of his friend. So here the king is actually nicely speaking to his wife, saying, I am worthy of punishment because I left you and went. So he is pacifying her nicely. This is in a very external way, but if you have to take it from a spiritual and material point of view, there are lessons to be learned. Spiritually, how do we look at this whole thing? How do we take these things to use it as a positive step towards devotional life? That's how Prabhupada is actually pitching it. See, it is said that when a foolish man is instructed in something very nice, he generally cannot accept it. Indeed, he actually becomes angry. Such anger is compared to the poison of a serpent. So it's like this. When a foolish man, if he is not chastised and if he is given nice things, they don't understand. Sometimes we also see this, right? When a master is very nice to the servant does not understand the master is in a higher position, I need to be in a lower position, but takes it for granted that I am equal to the master. We see this everywhere. Like, sometimes people take advantage of your being very nice, kind to people. People take it, I am taken for granted. They sit on our head only. So he says it's like sometimes when the snake, is poisonous. By nature it is poisonous. So if I nicely pamper it with giving nice food stuff, then that poison will only increase. So it will not be, it is becoming stronger and therefore the poison is also becoming stronger. So Prabhupada is writing, similarly when a fool is instructed, he does not rectify himself but actually becomes more angry. Just like the snake is developing more poison. So one needs to be mindful. If I am the servant and if I am the master, I should actually know how to deal also. My dear wife, your teeth are very beautifully set and your attractive features make you appear very thoughtful. Kindly give up your anger. Be merciful upon me and please smile upon me with loving attachment. When I see a smile on your beautiful face and when I see your hair, which is as beautiful as the color blue, and see your raised nose and hear your sweet talk, you will become more beautiful to me and thus attract me and oblige me. You are my most respected mistress. a effeminate husband, simply being attracted by the external beauty of his wife, tries to become her most obedient servant. Sripada Sankaracharya has therefore advised that we not become attracted by a lump of flesh and blood. So here this lady is compared to simply as a wife, sometimes as intelligence, sometimes as Krishna consciousness. I said right in this different ways of looking at these two imaginary characters. So here he's saying, like, if you are getting too much attracted to the beauty, then we should understand the beauty is actually not real beauty. So Prabhupada is quoting another one story of a man who gets too much attracted to a woman and tries to be after her all the time, and this woman is annoyed. She says, no, I don't want this man, but he is somehow trying to get her. So she says, okay, you come tomorrow. So she takes some very some kind of food which is actually giving her vomiting and loose motion like that. So the whole day, maybe a day or two, she's saying come after 2 days or something like that. And she's trying to say, I will show him what beauty I am made of. So she, because of this food, this contaminated food she is taken, she is vomiting and loose motion and all that. She collects all of these things in different vessels. And 2 days later, when this fellow comes to see her, he says, there used to be one nice, beautiful lady here. Where is she? She says, I am that beautiful lady you are talking about. What? You are like this? No, I am the same person. How come that you are so beautiful? Yes, my beauty is all now collected in these vessels. You please take a look. So she opens that vessels and shows all this vomit and stool and all that. So it's basically, ultimately, it's a covering outside like that, but internally it is all flesh, blood, mucus, and all this stuff. So this is in a very difficult way it has been said, but ultimately that is what it is. So one should not be too much attracted by these kind of attractions, generally in material life, not just women or man, but so many other things that we keep getting attracted to materially, like all these material possessions and things like that. Ultimately, if you are too much attached to your house, it is simply the rocks and the sand and stuff like that and all that. So somewhere try to go a little beyond what we see externally. That is what is being explained here. King Puranjana begged his queen to return to her original beauty. He tried to revive her just as a living entity tries to revive his original consciousness, Krishna consciousness, which is very beautiful. All the beautiful features of the king could be compared to the beautiful features of Krishna consciousness. All the beautiful features of the queen could be compared to the beautiful features of Krishna consciousness. When one returns to his original Krishna consciousness, he actually becomes steady and his life becomes successful. O hero's wife, kindly tell me if someone has offended you. I am prepared to give such a person punishment as long as he does not belong to the Brahmana caste. But for the servant of Murari Pu, Krishna, I excuse no one within or beyond these three worlds. No one can freely move after offending you, for I am prepared to punish him. So now he is saying, who has offended you that you have become like this? And he says, as long as that person is not a Brahmana or as a devotee of Krishna, I am ready to punish him. So this Prabhupada here is trying to write about this position of the Brahmana and the devotee. So this is basically talking about Vaishnava Prana. That means a Brahmana is one who is actually qualified to understand the absolute truth. So that is the intelligent class of human society. And of course a devotee, as well as a devotee of Lord Krishna, who is known as Muradvisha. That means the killer of, the devotee of the killer of Mura, the demon named Muradvisha. And he is saying this Brahmana and the devotee is not subjected to the rules and regulations of the state, because this punishment was supposed to be given because someone offended, right? So, but he's saying these two are not beyond the jurisdiction of that offense. That means they are not bound by these rules and regulations, therefore they should not be given punishment. Of course, that doesn't mean the devotee or a brahmana is beyond the law. By definition of someone as a brahmana or as a devotee, he follows all rules and regulations. Therefore, he will never actually commit an offense. That is the other side of it. So he will not. But apparently, if somehow it looks like a person has committed an offense, but he is a brahmana or this one need to be careful and not try to treat it the same way it is. It may be apparent, but really speaking, a brahmana or a devotee should not or will not commit offense. That is important. And he says, pure consciousness can be revived by the process of sacrifice, charity, pious activities, etc. So generally our consciousness is polluted. How can we rectify that? Then you can rectify this process. Make some sacrifice, do some charity, do some pious activities. Then your consciousness becomes okay. So simple remedy. But when one pollutes his Krishna consciousness by offending a Brahmana or a Vaishnava, it is very difficult to revive. This is important. So these acts of charity, sacrifice, pious activities will not remove this offense of a Vaishnava aparadha. This is a mad elephant offense is mentioned. And he talks about how a Durvasa Muni once offended Ambarish Maharaj. We all know that story, so I will not go deep into this. So here, the solution for this offense for Durvasa Muni was he had to go back to the devotee, pure devotee, and seek his forgiveness. And once that devotee becomes pleased, then you can be relieved of the offense. This is the secret. First thing is we should please that devotee whom we offended. That pleasing is not artificial. It should come from the depth of our heart, and the devotee should be able to feel that, he's really repenting for his mistake. And repenting for a mistake means you won't commit that mistake again. Many times we keep committing. We sometimes repent, really mean what we say, and we try to do. But then, because of my nature, I go back and do the same offense again. Then what is the point of that repenting? That's important. So Vaishnava aparadha cannot be atoned by all our ritualistic processes. It has to be atoned by simply taking to the lotus feet of the person whom we offended. Next, we are coming to the end, almost to last two verses. Please bear with me. My dear wife, until this day I have never seen your face without tilaka decoration. Nor have I seen you so morose and without lustre or affection, nor have I seen your two nice breasts wet with tears from your eyes, nor have I ever before seen your lips, which are ordinarily as red as the bimba fruit without their reddish hue. Every woman looks very beautiful when decorated with tilaka and vermilion. A woman generally becomes very attractive when her lips are colored with reddish saffron or vermilion. So this is there. This lipstick business is there, I think, even in the Vedic times. So nothing wrong. But when one's consciousness and intelligence are without any brilliant thoughts about Krishna, they become morose and lustreless. So much so that one cannot derive any benefit despite sharp intelligence. So here, relating that back to Krishna consciousness. So the last verse now. My dear queen, due to my sinful desires, I went to the forest to hunt without asking you. Therefore, I must admit that I have offended you. Nonetheless, thinking of me as your most intimate subordinate, you should still be very much pleased with me. Factually, I am very much bereft, but being pierced by the arrow of Cupid, I am feeling lusty. But where is the beautiful woman who would give up her lusty husband and refuse to unite with him? So he is trying to entice his wife, saying, He's saying, I have offended you, but still, I love you so much. So why you should take offense? You should forgive this small offense of me, because I am anyway your servant. I am, hankering after you. I am seeking for your blessing. That kind of a person I am. So you should not really take this offense of me as very serious and ignore me. But what you should do, this is materialistic, right? Give me enjoyment. I want to enjoy. So you please accommodate my needs. And he's saying, there is a beautiful woman who would give up her lusty husband and refuse to unite with him. So this is like, this is what is going on in material life, where men and women keep compromising. Because the whole life is centered around this, this desire. And that extension of that desire into house, so we see, right, how many things, okay, then there's come, okay, you gave me nice jewelry, this, that, and all that. Then, I am happy to please you. So this is going on everywhere, this has become kind of a business where, how marriage is becoming a kind of a, how I will satisfy you, how you will satisfy me. And then there's always this mind games which happens. You give me this, I will give you that. This keeps on going. So everything is very calculated. Generally, life lands up like this. But modern human society has improved the materialistic way of life simply by inducing unrestricted sex life in many different ways. This is most prominently visible in the Western world, Prabhupada is writing. But even in our society, this is more or less the same case. Karmis work very hard simply to enjoy sex. Modern human society has improved the materialistic way of life simply by inducing what I read. So this one ends here. So in this course of the story of Puranjana, one needs to see how it reflects on us as a person, not about Puranjana, but us as individuals, and how this reflects our mindset, how this reflects our traps, how to actually see the other side of it. How do I secure myself, my consciousness, my soul? How do I save my soul? So that is the lesson that Narada Muni is trying to say here. So I end here with this chapter is getting over. And of course it goes on into the next chapter also. So you will be getting more deeper insights. So Hare Krishna. I will stop here. I'm sorry it will be delayed. Any questions, comments, welcome. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandasana.
Hare
I
Krishna,
just wanted to
Prabhuji.
ask you a question. Prabhuji,
Yes.
Prabhu, you spoke about Dharma Patni, Dharma, right?
Yes.
But now when you get married and you don't know the place where you're going to, if the wife is doing prescribed duty, but the atmosphere is not according to Dharma, then is she, like what is her position?
Yeah,
Like now,
then
sometimes it's a non-veg house, or the husband is not inclined even to worship demigods. There are so many situations like this.
Yes.
But then she's she's doing her prescribed duties. Then Prabhu.
Yeah. So see, one is this act of performing the marriage as per the proper ritualistic ceremony. That's a Dharma Patni is there. But it's also not just about that particular act, no. One needs to really, so when you are going to look for a man, then it's the responsibility of the father to say this Kannika Dana is not some ordinary thing. That father's responsibility is to see that whom am I giving my daughter to? This is responsibility of the father. And if he is simply thinking, no, I am only looking at the wealth of the person, and I am looking whether that family owns an industry or that family has got some political powers and all that, and give that girl to that house, and that family is into all this non-vegetarian and whatever it is, whatever other things which are not favorable to devotional life, then there itself the problem is starting. So one need to be mindful about these things. One should decide to look for a bride, a groom for the girl. And if we don't do that, and then we say, okay, no, this is Dharma Patni, but what to do? Her husband is like that, means yes, that is expected. So, I mean, purely from a spiritual perspective, This Kannika Dana should be, one should give a girl to a boy who's worthy, who's already following a spiritual life and all that. So this is important. Maybe outside world people don't bother, they look at the other aspects of it. But once we come to devotional life, we need to be mindful of this. That's why Guru Maharaj, my spiritual master, Jayapatak Maharaj, he always says, so you be, please, I have so many of these girls who are my disciples or who are already aspiring or who are already taken up devotional service, they are chanting, they are following regulative principles. Please, he is requesting all the boys, don't marry from outside. Marry these girls who are already following Krishna consciousness, because otherwise, like, what you said, they are in danger because they go and have to forced to marry someone who is not a devotee. Then what their life becomes? They are forced, because it is natural that the girl and the boy will have to start adjusting with each other. Maybe the boy may become Krishna consciousness, that is possible. But the girl could also be forced to, because of the family, the circumstances, everything. The girl will have to give up Krishna consciousness. I have seen such circumstances where the girl is forced to leave Krishna consciousness. Slowly, everything goes away. So it is important duty of the parents and of course the Krishna conscious society as a whole to look really for how we can help. If you find some good boy and a good girl, how can we? That's why Guru Maharaj has actually set up this this marriage bureau. Even local temples also we have, and even at an international or at a national level, Guru Maharaj has set congregation ministry has set a department of, they have many horoscopes. If you want to see horoscope and you want to see whatever combinations you want to see all that, but still try to see if you can get hold of a proper devotee boy, or a devotee girl for that matter, for a devotee boy. This is very important. Otherwise, the life becomes messy. This is important. Of course, it's a very difficult thing. All of us as parents go through. I also went through. How do I decide? How do I choose? We need to find the right balance between our material circumstances and at the same time how we want to do. But the guiding principle should be that ultimately I should look at how to retain my Krishna consciousness. The I means not just me, then my daughter also, my son also. I need to see this thing, and as a parent I should do. And as mature individuals, the girl and the boy should also be mindful, not simply marry for the sake of money or power or whatever, and later feel, oh, now why it is like this. We need to be mindful. Does it sort of help? It's not a good, there's no direct answer, but this Dharma Patni is yes. But you can extend it, okay, even if my husband is so bad, I need to follow. That is also there. But there the idea is, okay, I will reform my husband and make him a proper devotee. Like if someone is in that state, okay, Prabhu, now I can't talk about that, I'm already married. My family, that married family is into all these things, how can I? Yes, she can still be a Dharma Patni if she follows everything nicely, to the extent possible in that circumstances. But always try to be a good example to make the others in the family see virtue in Krishna consciousness. In that way, she is actually a Dharma Patni. It's also mentioned, right, beyond a point, I can't do anything because my parents have married me here. Okay, I could have resisted, I did not resist. It has happened, what do I do? Okay, then, that is the compromise we have done in our life itself, right? Why am I here? It's not a great place to be here, but I am here. This is reality for me. Therefore, now instead of saying, okay, anyway, it is all lost, let me go on sense gratification, I can still think, okay, from this situation, how do I recover? What do I do? In that sense, a girl can think, how do I, nicely behave with the other party, that husband and the family members, and slowly, bring them into Krishna consciousness. This is a long run process. But she can give it a good try. By that way, she is keeping her consciousness clear, because that family's thing is not in her control, but her life is in her control. So how she can try to make it better place? Of course, it's not easy, but in that circumstances, that is what she can do. Does it? I don't know if it answers or if it slightly addresses at a high level at least.
Yes, Prabhuji. Anyway, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. No, this is a very difficult and practical
Yes.
question.
It's
We
a
need
very
to,
practically, yeah. Prabhu, when a person is in a situation and when you're speaking, sometimes it becomes a little, it's very, very, it's easier said than done. Going through a practical situation and verbally describing a situation, it very sometimes pulls apart.
yeah.
Anyway, yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
I think
okay,
see, individually we need to see, right? I mean, as I keep saying, ultimately everyone has to see how I should become Krishna consciousness, because that is the ultimate purpose of every life. So this starting point for me is like a messy situation. Okay, from here, how do I see? So that one makes me a noble person. Maybe my family is eating meat. That's okay, but I mean that's what it is. Now from here, how do I make it? We have seen many women who are in very bad situation. They have taken to Krishna consciousness. Their entire family have become Krishna conscious now. So now for such people, they should take them as their role model. How some of the women have transformed the family nicely, and they can try. Yeah, it's not the best of situation, but that is what I have. So we have to start from there. Just one more point written. Even in devotees, there are many cases either boy or in-laws or both are abusive. Treat wife or daughter-in-law very badly. Please comment on same. Why in devotees also it is bad? There are many separated couples in ISKCON itself, higher in ISKCON than outside world. Okay, now this higher in ISKCON than outside world, none of us have any statistics, right? It is more because we love ISKCON, we feel one case happens, we feel there are many cases. So that I will leave it out. But the fact what you have mentioned is correct. That why are even in devotee families such things happening? See, the question is, when you say devotee, we are not perfected personalities, right? ISKCON is an international movement, and people have a mindset that okay, I see there is something wrong in my materialistic way, I need to change. But that doesn't mean I have perfected my Krishna consciousness. So we should be mindful of this. While we do this, there are people at different levels. There are Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, Uttama Adhikari level of devotees. Now, mostly a lot of us are only in Kanishta Adhikari. That means the beginning stages of Krishna consciousness. That doesn't mean I am perfect in everything. I means I am talking about all devotees. So there is these challenges which are there, no doubt. What we can see is, but all of these people are trying to change their lives. That is a fact. But if someone is simply acting, I can't help it. But ideally, all devotees who are chanting, who are trying to follow regulative principles, are following regulative principles, have come to this understanding that I am not the body. I should, theoretically at least I understand, I want to move forward. But because of my conditioning, I tend to become more driven by my conditioned life. So I may, because this inherent nature of treating the in-law, the daughter-in-law badly is there. This has been, I have seen my grandma, my family, and I have also sort of developed a taste for doing such things. But I am also trying to be a devotee. So this contradiction is there. So it is important that the right counsel we try to take. Like, okay, then if there is some situation that we are aware of, then counsel that devotee, because somewhere that devotee should be much slightly better than a normal materialistic person. So can that situation be improved? That we can see. Similarly, this boys abusing girls is there. We have seen. It's not like I am simply sitting in a glass house, because I am also preaching to many people. I have seen live examples, girls coming and praying to my wife and saying my husband is like this. He is exploiting, telling Vedic injunction that women should be like this. He does not even chant, but he is expecting that I be like this. These kind of things are all happening everywhere. So in reality, this is all there everywhere. But the point is, as a society, we need to see how we can address these things and not close our eyes to such things happening. So even in our temple, if you really see, we are trying to set up, right, a devotee care team. So there are some mature devotees, if they are part of the team, have a thing counseling, these girl devotees who are being abused. if they are reaching out, then try to give them guidance, how they should behave, how they should be aware of their Vedic and all is nice, but we should understand where the line stops. Because if you want to be, if the husband expects wife to be like Sita, then the husband should be like Rama. Now, if that is not the case, how to make that man understand that this is not right? So, we should put the force of the society, our international society for Krishna consciousness, power behind these transformations. It is happening. It's not like it's not happening. There are counseling. I know in our temple also there are many devotees who come and say these kind of things. Once Manukul Prabhu called me and said, "Why don't you speak to these people? There is something going wrong." Then I spoke to that family like that. So it is there. Maybe we need to deeply strengthen these things more stronger and make people think, but very important. Sometimes it happens, devotee, you cannot take it for granted that devotee means he should be like that. Yes, he should be like that, but he is not like that is to be underlined. And he is devotee, but not progressed devotees. What to do? Or that lady, mother-in-law, is a devotee, but like this. Or the girl is a devotee, but she is behaving like this. What to do? It happens both ways. Girl also behaving badly with the parents, in-laws, husband and all that, the vice versa. So I am reminded of the story where Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, once one devotee, he was a donor, big donor. So when he came to the temple, two brahmacharis were fighting. And he was saying, what is this? He's supposed to be fighting like this. And I am coming here thinking this is a nice place. And they will give me good moral guidance and all that. But here these people are also fighting. Why should he went away? When some other disciples saw this, they went to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati and told him, Maharaj, this nice donor, he came here and these two disciples of yours were fighting in the temple and that man got upset. So then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati said, go and call that man. So they all thought, okay, the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, once that man comes, will apologize. I am sorry that this happened in our temple. This should not have happened. We are very sorry. We will try to correct them. You don't worry. You please come and continue to give donation. People expected Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati to speak like that. But when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, when this gentleman, that donor, that life member or whoever, he came to the temple and met Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he told him, are you a fool? Why did you go away from here? That man was taken away. What is this? Your organization was like this and why are you chastising me? Your guys, you should correct them. Why are you shouting at me? Then he said, see, you go into a hospital, what do you see? I see patients. He says, I see patients. Now, if you are thinking, I am sick, I came to the hospital, I am seeing so many patients here, and if you go away, how will your sickness be cured? So in a hospital, there will be patients. They have come here because they can change. So these two disciples of mine are also like that. They have come here so that they can change, but they have got disease still. Their disease is not gone yet. They are under treatment. You have also come for that treatment only. So you take treatment, don't look at the other diseased persons like that. So sometimes, this I am saying because sometimes we feel, this devotee community is bad, I will not be in devotee community. But this is a better place than outside. But that doesn't mean this is perfect. So, but as community, we should see how we can refine even better and better and better. So this is an ongoing process that is important. Is it okay, Swati Mataji? I think, so is there any other questions, comments?
Hare Krishna,
Very
Prabhuji.
nice class, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, the practical question that has been put forward by a devotee and the way you have addressed it by way of giving a live example of a doctor and a patient, their relationship and the treatment and not getting treated and just walking away has been aptly put, Prabhuji. It was very nice. I should be thankful to you because there are other people, the inmates of the house, who I observed were also paying attention to your lecture. I don't know. Krishna has drawn them into listening of this class. I sincerely hope that there should be an awakening, and the family in turn gets cleansed accordingly, Prabhuji. That was very nice. It was என்ன சொல்றது இப்போ இப்படியாவது ஒரு மாற்றம் கொண்டு வரணும்னு சொல்லி that matram you have addressed எனக்கு அது I mean sorry I liked it very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dandavat pranam.
We need to deal with this. This is difficult everywhere. All of us, all of us make mistakes some point in time, but it's about understanding. And as an organization, we need to have platforms where we can address these things. It is not simply chanting all the time 24/7. This is also Krishna consciousness. How we can make the life of people better so that they can practice. So Prabhupada actually wanted all of these things. We are also in our temple trying to do all these things as much as possible. Of course, this is a mammoth task. So many things are there, like old people who's caring. They have done their lifetime service to ISKCON. Now they have become invalid. Now who's taking care of them? There are so many discussions like that which are happening within local societies, like our small temple to national level or international level. ISKCON is trying to address to a great extent. All of us need to contribute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam to everybody.
Okay, thank you all very much. Thanks for your time and patient listening, and we will meet again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. There's one more small question. The word atonement, is it repentance, Prabhuji?
Yeah, so atonement is, one is to say, how do you, what do you do? Like if I say sorry, and if I say sorry, is it simply a word or do I do something about it? Right? So I do something which is actually in a way which corrects my my mistake. That is actually atonement.
Is it, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, is it in any way related to paschatapa?
No, not paschatapa. Is just you are feeling yourself self-pity. Paschatapa is basically self-pity. But atonement is, I have committed a mistake. Now, how do I rectify that? What concrete action I am taking to rectify that mistake? That is atonement. So, if I have to give an example, I broke fast on Ekadasi. So, I am supposed to fast on Ekadasi. I broke fast. Now, what would be an atonement? Atonement would be on the Nirjal Ekadasi, I fast 24 hours without taking water also. So that is atonement. That means I committed a mistake. How do I rectify that? That means there should be one activity I do which is actually helping me, get over that mistake I did. That is atonement. Paschatapa is basically feeling self-pity for myself. Actually, it is prayaschitta. Atonement means prayaschitta.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you for throwing beautiful light on that. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
We are all just struggling devotees, Prabhuji.
All of us are Mataji. Each one has some problem or the other. So a problem may be different for each, but everyone in material world, all of us are struggling. So the idea is, how do we get out of it? How do we apply Krishna consciousness in our life and move forward? Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna. I'll end the session. Thank you all very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat pranam. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Thank you.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.